And basically what I want to talk about is being powerless, and from my own experience and my own drug use. And I'm not an academic, I'm just a drug user who's been trying to fight his way through life and find a semblance of balance and some control. And I think that word powerless is when I first heard that word, I think I was about 16 years old, and I found myself in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and these people are talking about powerlessness, and I'm 16 and just having fun and wondering what they were all on about, being powerless and powerless and powerless. But in this context, and my understanding has changed, of the word has changed a lot. If you guys look at those photos, you'll see some of our community members, and this is already how, when things started getting a bit better. This was actually before we already were delivering some services, and where I'm from and my own experience in the city of Tshwane, especially with injecting drug use, most of the people end up on the streets in the city center. We have quite a massive homeless or street-dwelling population, as my colleague likes to call it. And I think powerless and drug use and finding yourself in these situations, what's always been embedded and entrenched in myself, and I think in my colleagues, was that we were sick. That once an addict, always an addict. And that many people who found themselves in our situation are people who never come back, who will never, ever, ever, ever find their way out. And 7 years ago, I looked very similar to that top right-hand picture. Oh, well, I think it's right on your right. And I just didn't know how to find a way out. And luckily enough, I finally got onto OST, opiate substitution therapy, and I started trying to put my life together. And so things for me happened quite slowly over a period of time of being on OST, and then finding myself doing maintenance work and working at a treatment center which was completely abstinence-based. And I was getting really frustrated convincing people that they have drug problems when I was convinced that they didn't. And I knew my fellows and my people were out there dying, and they couldn't get access because treatment is really expensive, and OST as well. So the harm reduction program started, and I think it took about 18 months for a protocol approval back and forth for us to actually just start delivering services. And when we did start, no one even knew still if needle and syringe programs were legal. No one had a cooking clue, but we started. And the whole approach that we've always done, and that I've always tried to keep within our Step Up project in Pretoria, is community-based. And what I mean by community-based is that we only work within the community, and if we have budget or we find more money, we go and capacitate and we hire. So what that generally means is that people are homeless and show up for work. And people show up at 8 o'clock for work, and people work the entire day and go home at 4. And people are using drugs, and people are injecting drugs, and people start to learn to function. And I don't think that anything that we did was novel or anything. I think what we did is what someone showed me, love and acceptance, and someone gave me a gap, and someone stopped judging me for being a drug user, and something in my head started to shift. And the exact same thing started to happen with these gentlemen. We started the program and just delivering a service and starting to treat human beings like human beings. And it's not about that you're putting a drug in your body every day. It's how was your day? How are you doing, and what's going on for you? And like I was talking to my colleague earlier, I really struggle in this format, and I really do. I really battle being in these rooms with people who are so highly educated, and scientists and doctors and stuff. I battle. I'm more comfortable with a backpack full of syringes and under a bridge. I feel really comfortable there, and I understand that. And then in this format, it starts to be a bit challenging for me. But as we grew and as we're growing, a lot of these people in this picture, is it working? How do we flick? It's flicking. Come on, flick. Yeah. So you'll see that a lot of them are actually staff members now. And our team has grown beautifully. And some of the gentlemen you saw in the previous picture are all there, and that's the whole idea of what we're trying to say, from powerless to powerful, is that most of my colleagues, including myself, were sleeping under bridges and on pavements. And all it took was a simple harm reduction program, delivering needles and syringes, no OST, and just starting to talk to people about their health and well-being, and trying to remind people to eat once a day if you can, and start to put things together. And here we are today. I think currently we're a team of 8. We have over 2,600 service beneficiaries. We deliver over 33,000 syringes a month, and we do it out of a Toyota Avanza, a little unit. We don't have a big fancy car. We have a lot of our community members on treatment, as my colleague was alluding to. We have, I confirmed the numbers this morning, so we have 20 virally suppressed street-dwelling injecting heroin users. So gentlemen that are currently, And we have over 50 people on treatment already, and it's not about me. That's why I hate standing in front of you. This isn't about me. This is about the community. And it's really about just showing people that they matter and that they care. It's actually that simple. For me, delivering a service to a marginalized community is exactly that. It's that it's not difficult to find a key population. I think you're just sending the wrong people, and we know where we are, and we know who we are and how we are. And I always said this line in the beginning when people told me that it's impossible for someone who's using drugs and inebriated to remember to take the ARVs. And then I remember replying, so it's actually one of the most condescending statements, because you're telling me that a drug user won't remember to take drugs, is actually what you're saying. And it's about the way you do it. It's about the modality, and it's about just talking to someone and asking them, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And how are you doing today? And people adhere, and people do well. And the whole idea is, again, we consulted from everything, from the harm reduction pack to the mapping, to the questions. What should it look like? What must the program look like? We didn't design one element of the program without the community. The community basically designed the program. And I think that speaks to one of the successes that we have up there, is that there's ownership of the project. It's not my project, it's our project. And I think that's always been my core belief system. I'm very, very proud of all my colleagues, because this is not about me, this is about us. And I love what I do. It is very personal for me. But we are trying to challenge, and we'll keep challenging, and we'll keep going. And law enforcement constantly keeps trying to arrest us. And they love parking their vans, and they love following us. And lately they're taking pictures of us now while we deliver services, and we've been arrested numerous times for delivering services. And I think it's the one thing that, it's just the space we're trying to fight for, is that harm reduction has a space as well. Abstinence does have a space, absolutely, but so does harm reduction. And we're not going away, and we will just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll keep fighting what we're fighting. Thank you.